Hello Capricorn, welcome to your 2024 overview horoscope. In this video, I'll be going over a bunch of the big transits happening for you in 2024. I'll be explaining what to expect for each of these transits, and I'll be offering some do's and don'ts for each part of the year. This is for those of you who like to plan ahead and know what's going on for the next year. 2024 main events include Pluto's back and forth in Capricorn and Aquarius, with the final ingress into Aquarius at the end of the year. Also, Jupiter will conjoin Uranus in Taurus, and then it will enter Gemini, Jupiter, that is. And so Jupiter entering Gemini will bring some luck and expansion into new house topics for us. And it will also square Saturn and Pisces while there. And we will discuss eclipse season, spring and fall. As a reminder, I recommend you listen to your rising sign, but sometimes people find value in looking at their sun or moon signs. Astrology is a form of divination after all. You're going to get the message the way you're going to need to get the message. So let's hop right into it, shall we? We'll begin in January. On January 20th is when Pluto enters Aquarius for the second time that you have experienced. You might recall the first time this happened was in March of 2023, at the end of March, beginning of April. So look back at your calendars, your emails, figure out what was going on at the end of March 2023, and you'll get kind of an idea of what to expect for the next round. So as Pluto makes its second return to your second house, you can brace for a deeper dive into your world of finances and personal values and your self-esteem. So let's talk about specifics though. This is a time where you are asked to reassess and potentially revamp your approach to money, maybe changing your spending habits, rethinking investments, finding new sources of income even, dealing with big sources of income as possible. Pluto often signifies massive wealth, so there's that, but also it's kind of an underdog energy, so you might be rags to riches type of story. And you might find yourself wanting to declutter or just invest in things that have a long-term value or meaning. This is like throw out all the old shit and a bunch of new stuff comes in vibe. Pluto is all about massive, major transformation. So this is what's coming through for your second house of finances. And again, look back at the end of March 2023, the beginning of April, to get an idea of what was going on, and that will give you a hint of what's to come for the end of January 2024. It's the perfect time to sit down and work through a budget that aligns more with your current financial goals and values. It's a really good time to consider putting money into things that will grow over time, like stocks, retirement funds, or even property. And whether it's taking a course or getting a certification, learning a new skill, this is a time to boost your career income potential. So like upskilling. Those are your do's for wintertime of 2024. Your don'ts are, if you have debt, create a plan to tackle them. Don't ignore your debt. And also, don't impulse buy while Pluto enters your second house. It's not a really good time for spontaneous big purchases. Think long-term and practical. Pluto will be here a long time. And I recommend you don't stick to any of your outdated financial plans or like the way that you handle money when Pluto enters your second house. Those are strategies that will no longer fit your lifestyle, and it will be time to update how you handle money. So be open to new ideas and new approaches with money situations at the beginning of 2024. But overall, with Pluto revisiting your second house for the second time, this will be more about deepening the changes that you've already started with your finances and your material world in general. So you can think of the beginning of 2024 as a time to fine-tune your resources and your values to better suit the person that you are becoming. And it's a big deal, but I'm excited to see how rich you get from this transit. And with that being said, also watch out for power dynamics, controlling dynamics, manipulation when it comes to resources that you are working with. And let's move on to eclipse season, the first eclipse season in the spring. And eclipses always bring major endings and major beginnings that happen at the same time. So it's the ending of one era and the beginning of another era with your Aries and Libra house topics. So this is your 10th and 4th house topics. This means that this eclipse year, both eclipses in the spring and the fall, will be pretty intense for you and prove to be a benchmark moment in some big changes that are underway. This is a cardinal eclipse axis, and you're a cardinal rising sign. So expect your life to look very different by the end of 2024 because we're having the ending of an era and the beginning of an era happening at the same time and interweaving. Life isn't always that clean, so it's happening at the same time. Different parts of your life are ending and different parts of your life are beginning. So one thing to keep in mind is you got a taste of these endings and beginnings in the fall of 2023, around October, September. So you can look back to then and think about what was going on. Now's the time to dive a little bit deeper in the spring. So let's talk about each eclipse. Starting March 25th, we have the eclipse in your 10th house of career and public image. So this will be a time of potential promotions or new job opportunities. Your career might take some sort of significant turn and ideally align you more with your authentic, true aspirations in life. And this could be a different role. It could be a different job. So also, changes in your public reputation are possible with these eclipses. How people see you professionally, what roles you take on in life could evolve. So be ready for more visibility and a shift to your reputation or your public persona around the people who know you. And again, you might be taking on new roles or new responsibilities with these eclipses, and it might challenge and push you to grow your leadership skills also. This is the 10th house, so it's a pretty exciting one. And the next eclipse, we have 2 weeks of wonky eclipse season in between eclipses. The next eclipse is April 8th, so allow for benchmark moments, things to be up in the air, to not really know what's going on in between these 2 weeks, and just go with the flow because things, are falling into place. So the Aries eclipse is in your 4th house of home and family, so changes in your living situation are possible. There could be a move, a renovation, a change in your domestic life on some level. Also, evolving family dynamics is possible, family relationships undergoing significant shifts, and you have the opportunity to heal old wounds with family members and strengthen bonds or just cut people out entirely. And reconnecting with your roots is possible with this eclipse too. You might find yourself drawn to explore your heritage or your family history more deeply, or connect with older, different family members that you haven't before. At the same time, Mars will be conjoining Saturn in your 3rd house. So eclipse season is already kind of wonky with things feeling up in the air and just kind of weird. And with Mars conjoining Saturn in your 3rd house, that brings another layer of kind of challenge to eclipse season. You may have issues communicating with people. You may have issues with technology. Mars and Saturn, the malefics conjoining, can really slow things down, can bring blocks, bring delays. It can feel like being stuck between a rock and a hard place, or stop, go, 1 foot on the brake, 1 foot on the gas kind of vibes. So just be patient, harness patience in the spring. I recommend you attend networking stuff for your career growth, like industry events, connect with your mentors, update your professional profiles. These are things I recommend you do for eclipse season. It's just a really good time to build your professional network and to be seen. I also recommend you do plan a home improvement project. So whether it's redecorating or it's making a more significant renovation, focus on making your home more reflective of who you are now. And I also recommend you organize family reunions or gatherings, strengthen family ties somehow. So what I don't recommend you do is neglect your work-life balance. It's going to be hard with eclipse season happening here. You're going to be very busy. There's going to be a lot to do, but I recommend you do not sacrifice anything for your personal well-being. Now, you're number one, okay? Work is not above you, so take care of yourself. I also recommend you don't rush into any real estate decisions. If you're thinking of buying or selling property, take your time to research and make informed choices. I know you're a Capricorn, you will anyways, but I was mentioning something about, a home life change. Don't rush into it if possible. Let it unfold. And don't ignore any necessary family conversations that need to happen in the spring. They'll prove to be pretty useful. And so anyway, eclipse season overall in the spring is all about the ending of one era and the beginning of another era happening at the same time, overall in your life really, but especially with your home life and with your career. So I'm looking forward to this for you. I hope that you are too, because it's exciting for change. And this moves us to April 20th, and this is when Jupiter conjoins Uranus in Taurus. And this is in your 5th house, so this brings a lot of excitement into your world of creativity, romance, and pleasure and desire, and what you do for fun and joy. And also your kid's life, if you have a kid. So specifically, though, you can expect bursts of creativity for this transit. You know, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Uranus is the planet of chaos. Not really. It uses chaos to get to authenticity. Well, it'll use anything to get to authenticity, but it is chaotic. So you can expect Jupiter to expand Uranus's chaos and authenticity and need for independence, and also protect it a bit, because Jupiter also kind of acts as a guardian angel kind of force that keeps things from getting worse. So there's ups and downs here, but overall it's in your 5th house, so it's exciting. It's a good one. It's one you don't necessarily need to be afraid of. You might suddenly get inspired for something. This is like the aha, it's time to do something moment. Maybe you revisit old hobbies. Maybe if you're single, you might bump into someone who totally catches you off guard at this point, probably in a good way. And if you are already in a relationship, you can expect a lot of fun to happen around this time. Overall, this is a really good transit to try out new things that you like to do for fun, new recreational activities. Think of things that you've never done before that you always wanted to try. This is a good transit for that. So the do's and don'ts, more specifically, whether it's painting, writing, starting a YouTube channel, now will be the time to channel your inner artist. I also recommend you try out a new sport, a new activity. If you ever wanted to try rock climbing, salsa dancing, try it. And plan a surprise date or a surprise trip. If you are seeing someone, plan a surprise getaway or a surprise date night of some kind for April 20th. If you're single, treat yourself to a solo adventure and be open to meeting somebody, because this is an interesting one, a fun one to meet people. And don't. I recommend for around April 20th, don't ignore your budget in pursuit of fun. I know you won't. You're Capricorn. You won't do that. But it will be easier to get carried away and just kind of be hedonistic about things for fun. So keep an eye on your finances at the same time. And avoid neglecting any long-term projects that you have for the more impulsive ones that might come through, unless, you really, really, want to go for it. But don't let your long-term goals fall by the wayside because of this. And I don't need to tell you this, but make sure you are being safe with all the new things you're trying. Uranus is wild, so make sure you're following all the safety precautions with physical activities. And so overall, with Jupiter and Uranus conjoining in your 5th house, this is a week or so of excitement, creativity, a little bit of love. So embrace the unexpected at this point, and you will enjoy a nice burst of joyous energy. And then we have about a month until May 25th when Jupiter enters Gemini. And then it will immediately trine Pluto in Aquarius also. But Jupiter will enter your 6th house and trine Pluto in your 2nd house. And you are in for some pretty significant and positive shifts in your work and your financial life. So let's break down specifics though. There will be opportunities to grow at work or with growth at work. Think promotions, new projects, even a job change that better aligns with your skills and your goals. And you can expect this is a good time to focus on your health. You might find new ways to improve your well-being and expect positive impact on your finances too. Again, this could be a salary bump, smarter money management, or profitable investments coming through. So the do's and don'ts of Jupiter in your 6th house. Overall, Jupiter is going to make your daily life and your daily routine easier, but also possibly more busy. Jupiter is adding to that to-do list, but also giving you the energy to work through it. This is also a time where if you hire somebody, it will go well. Jupiter in your 6th, that is a very helpful person in your service house. So if you need to hire someone for something, it's a good time for that. And if you're going to get a new pet, also, this is a good time for that. Or doing anything with your pet if they need surgery or need a new medicine or something. This is a good boost for that. And Jupiter will be in your 6th house for 12 months. Jupiter will be in Gemini for about a year, from May 2024 to May 2025-ish. So you have a whole 12 months to take advantage of this vibe. And so the do's and don'ts I recommend that you seek opportunities for any professional development, because they will be returned to you, rewarded to you twofold. So attend workshops, seminars, pursue any additional training you need to do to enhance any career prospects. It's recommended. I also recommend you invest in your health, join a gym, start an exercise routine, explore new regimen. Your health is an investment also. Make that dentist appointment, make that doctor's appointment, figure out your meds. And also, I recommend you do adjust your financial portfolio. I know I've been hounding on this all year, but take a look at your investments, your savings plan. This is a good time to make savvy changes for that. And as for the don'ts, I recommend you, again, don't overwork yourself. No being a workaholic. Focusing on your career growth is good, but remember to maintain a healthy balance. And I recommend you avoid any risky financial gambles. So be smart with your money, stick to investments that you actually understand and trust, and don't ignore any health checkups, because good things could come through. I'm not trying to scare you that if you don't go, something bad will happen. No, Jupiter in your 6th is good. So prevention is better than cure, right? So overall, Jupiter will be boosting your 6th house, and Pluto is energizing your finances. And this is a really power-packed next 12 months for work and money matters. So you can make the most of these 12 months by focusing on your health and your financial stability and your day-to-day grind. This is a golden opportunity to make really positive changes for the next few months. So I'm excited for you there. And then we have a pretty quiet couple months of summertime, except for the background transit, which is Mars squaring Saturn. And this exacts on August 15th, and Mars will be in your 6th house, squaring Saturn in your 3rd house, which is a bit challenging, a challenging period, but nothing that you can't handle. It seems like with this vibe, Jupiter enters Gemini and you have exponential growth of things in your daily environment and a lot moving forward. And the square from Saturn comes up and is like, all right, let's make this foundational. Let's make this sustainable. Let's make sure we're doing it right also. So there isn't just exponential growth without anybody reining it in. We have Saturn there making sure that it's being done right. And Mars brings in some inflammation. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts. When the malefics get together in any way, this time a square, things slow down. You feel like you're maybe stuck between a rock and a hard place. It might feel like you have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. So this is the summertime will be reining you in and bringing some challenges and bringing a slowdown of all that growth. So you might notice challenging work dynamics, maybe working through some kinks with someone that you hired, or working through kinks of your new schedule that you're working through. And you might notice communication delays. We have this in the 3rd house, so emails, calls, meetings may not go as smoothly as you'd like. You might be hearing no a bit more than usual. Be prepared for some back and forth or for some misunderstandings. You might notice issues with siblings, coworkers, employees, roommates, the people that are around you. There may be issues in their life, not necessarily issues with them, but issues in their life. And overall, in the summertime, especially August, balancing your daily tasks could become more challenging. So I recommend in August you create structured daily plans, and this will help you navigate any chaos moving forward. And I recommend you counteract any work stress with activities like yoga, meditation, reading, whatever chills you out in August. And I recommend you these are my specific don'ts for this square. I recommend you don't get a pet because the square isn't very yummy in that regard. Your routine might be too hectic to give them the attention they deserve, or they might have a bit more problems than you're ready to deal with. I recommend you don't buy a car either at this point. If you're thinking of getting a new one, hold off, because the stress and just the tension happening between these houses won't help anything. And again, don't overcommit at work, because you won't be able to finish everything on your to-do list. Just know that about August. It'll require a little extra grit, but it's all about finding a sweet spot, sticking to what works, being open to adjustments. So you'll get through it, but know that there is a slowdown happening in August. And at the same time, Jupiter and Mars are essentially conjoining and squaring Saturn. So Jupiter brings, again, is like a guardian angel kind of energy that makes things a little bit less dangerous. But also, on the other hand, Jupiter makes things bigger. So it really depends on the situation and your chart, which one you're going to get. Jupiter can make Mars's inflammation bigger and more irritated and more loud. And on the other hand, it can soften Mars in a way. So just know that you have the blessing of Jupiter there too. That is helping you adapt to new work routines. It's helping you balance your work and your learning. It's helping you with your increased workload, but you might not be able to work as quickly or get as much done as you'd like to. So still though, I recommend your networking in August. Networking isn't, there may be some miscommunications, but networking will be helpful. And I recommend you don't ignore any burnout. Avoid any impulsive decisions. Don't start any major renovations in August, ideally, unless you're willing to let it take a lot longer than you want it to. But overall, with Jupiter's influence here, there's a chance at turning these challenging scenarios into growth opportunities still. It's going to be about managing your day-to-day effectively and keeping an open mind to any experiences coming forward without being burnt out and exhausted. So just know August is when some issues might arise, and maybe not issues, but a slowdown or a delay is possible too. And this moves us into September. September 1st is when Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn. So Pluto will be making its final return into your first house for its last 2-month stint here. And you are closing a chapter that began way back in 2008. Some of you are too young to even know what was happening then. But if you weren't, you know what Pluto has been like since 2008 in your first house. Things have changed drastically, and you are going to be lighter when Pluto leaves. I'm so excited for Capricorn risings. This will be but we're talking about it here for the last 2 months. And the last 2 months of it being here will be more about finalizing the transformations and wrapping up any long-term changes that have been going on for you as in regards to like becoming an entirely new person. And I know that this is kind of bullshit in a way because everybody's different than they were in 2008, but you as a Capricorn know what was going on in 2008 and 2009 and what happened in your life at that point that kind of shifted your landscape, and know that these last 2 months will be nothing because you're used to it, most likely, and things will get lighter when it moves. So the ingress itself into your first house for the last 2 months, there may be some sort of thing that happens that feels kind of intense, but it'll feel more like your choice. You made a decision. And it is regarding taking your power back in situations where you have given it away. Pluto is all about returning power back to yourself. So know that Pluto coming back here is just another opportunity to take your power back where you have given it to somebody else, or just given it to the ether. So dealing with control dynamics is possible. Last challenges related to control, either exerted by you or by someone else onto you. It's a good time and chance to resolve this all once and for all. Take your power back. And look for, Pluto rules power and wealth. So look for opportunities to increase your wealth or assert your influence in significant ways. And this is also a period that could bring final healing, some sort of final healing process to long-standing traumas and deep-seated issues that you can't really see, that are in the background of your subconscious. They're coming out, and you're purging one last time, the tiniest little purge, the last little poop sticking out. So for the last 2 months of Pluto here, September 1st, I recommend you embrace some sort of major lifestyle change, like a complete career shift, moving to a new place, doing whatever you want to do. If you can, do it. You will have the powerhouse of Pluto behind you. And also any type of physical transformation. If you want to get surgery, a new hairstyle, new fitness routine, now's the time. And then again, look out for investments. Look out for opportunities to grow your wealth because it's happening for y'all. Starting a business, investments, something like that. And okay, the don'ts. I want to remind you all about, I was talking about Pluto's control dynamics, power dynamics. That could also mean in relationships. So don't ignore any red flags in relationships that are coming up in September and October. If controlling dynamics are presenting themselves, please address them or cut them out or, take your power back. Don't let anyone control you. Don't let anyone tell you what to do. Don't feel afraid of anybody. I also recommend you don't shy away from seeking help with Pluto here. If you are dealing with any unresolved issues or unresolved traumas in September, I recommend going to therapy, seeking counsel, some sort of assistance outside of yourself because we do not have all the answers ourselves, right? It could help to talk to somebody to wrap up the narrative that has been going on for you since 2008. So, it's wrapping up a profound personal evolution. It's all about owning your power, making lasting changes, stepping into a new era of your life with confidence and clarity. And this brings us to eclipse season, part 2 in the fall eclipse season. And this is happening in your 3rd and 10th houses. Major endings, major beginnings happening at the same time. And when I say this, for you this year, I mean it. Like major endings, major beginnings. This is the ending of an era, the beginning of another era for y'all. But when I say that for most people, I just want you to keep in mind, like taking a step back, major endings and major beginnings happen every year. Okay. Things change all the time and the sky just kind of reflects the constant change. So I'm bringing you points to be aware of, to look at, to help navigate and help, map out what's going on for you. And fall eclipse season will bring some benchmark moments with major transformations happening in your life, whether it's like a big shift at work, a new job, a big shift with your job, and or a big shift with your home life. Just know that's happening on some level, a benchmark moment with that. That doesn't mean your house is going to burn down and you're going to move into a new house, but it could mean that you make a decision that makes you want to move or something like that, a little step in the direction of major endings and major beginnings. But when you look back on this time, you'll realize how big of a moment this was for the ending of one era and the beginning of another. I digress. So the first eclipse happening in the fall is September 17th in Pisces, which is your 3rd house. And this is the first eclipse happening on this axis. It will happen more in 2025. So you'll get a little bit of relief when you get this eclipse in your 3rd house. This is shaking up how you communicate, how you interact with siblings, neighbors, close friends. And it's a sneak peek on what to expect for the following year. Just as fall 2023 is a sneak peek of what to expect for spring of 2024, fall of 2024 is a sneak peek into the eclipses happening in 2025. So know that the 3rd house rules your communication, your immediate environment, your education, your transportation, the things that surround you and that you do in your day-to-day life. There will be some changes there or new beginnings there. I like 3rd house eclipses because they're not very blatant. They're not like in your face in front of you. Generally, it's happening in your mind. It's like a big change in perspective or something. But there is an eclipse in Libra, again, October 2nd. So we have that wonky 2 weeks in between in the fall, between September 17th and October 2nd. And so allow things to be weird. Maybe don't travel if you have the option. I don't like traveling during eclipse season. I feel like things always go wrong or like the vibe's weird or the weather's weird. Things are weird. I digress. The second eclipse in the fall is happening in Libra in your 10th house. And this will be the last or one of the last eclipses. I'm pretty sure it's the last eclipse happening in your 10th house. So this will be like the final benchmark moment in any significant changes happening with your career, public life, your home. Most likely your work, though. some sort of significant milestone with your job or your reputation or your overall life and what you're known for. That's what eclipses do in your 10th house, okay? So this will be like the third eclipse you've experienced here. It won't be anything necessarily new. It'll just be another chapter in that story of your career change, of your reputation change that's happening this year. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts for eclipse season. I recommend, with the third house highlighted, start a blog or write more or read more. This is a really good eclipse to get back into the written word. Or any other skill, like download Duolingo and learn Spanish, or download one of those coding apps and learn coding. I recommend you do revamp your resume or your LinkedIn. In light of that 10th house eclipse, you can give your professional roles a makeover at this point. And I recommend you don't neglect any networking. Again, this is a year of networking and talking to allies and colleagues and people who can help you. And I recommend you avoid any sibling or neighbor issues with this eclipse. If there are any issues brewing with cousins, siblings, neighbors, roommates, address it before the eclipse, ideally, because it could be a bit more dramatic than it needs to be with this happening in the third house. And I recommend you don't stick to any outdated career path. If you're being pushed into a new direction, don't resist it. Don't be afraid to explore any new opportunities. But overall, these eclipse seasons in general offer significant shifts. So this one is no exception. And it'll be all about embracing new ways of communicating with people and being open to career transformations. And this moves us to November 19th, which is when Pluto re-enters Aquarius for the final time. And so this will be the third time this happened. The first time, March 2023. Second time, January 2024. That was the beginning. And then part 2, and this is part 3. So you'll know what to kind of expect at this point, but then it'll be here for good. So you'll be heading into a phase that's more about solidifying financial and value-based transformations. And Pluto will be here until 2043. So again, Pluto is a background kind of vibe, moving in the background, making changes in your subconscious. It takes a lot of energy to notice Pluto things. So you'll notice them sometimes, but it's not something loud in your face all the time. You know, actually, I don't even need to preach to you because you're a Capricorn rising and you had Pluto in your first house. You know all about Pluto. But with Pluto, again, moving back into your second house, this is a long-term financial overhaul energy, an evolution of values happening, and new management regarding your material, resource, financial situation. And so, again, when Pluto comes back here, I recommend that it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So I recommend you develop a long-term financial strategy if you haven't already, but maybe update it at this point and reassess your investments at this point and look for sustainable wealth building, and you will be rewarded with that. And I recommend at this point that you aren't ignoring any debts. You are ignoring short-term financial fads. Like, whatever happened to NFTs? Anyway, don't cling to any outdated material attachments when Pluto's in your second house. Let it all go. Let go of all of your material, what's the word I'm looking for? Expectations, and be open to newness and even more power than before. And this moves us to December 6th, which is when Mars stations retrograde at 6 degrees Leo. And so this will be in your 8th house. And what's interesting about this is it's going retrograde very close to where Venus stationed retrograde in the summer of 2023. So if you look at August or July of 2023, you might get an idea of what to expect with Mars's retrograde in the same spot. So this is a time that is pushing you to reassess financial strategies again. There's a lot of financial and material stuff happening for y'all this year, and that requires a lot of going back and readjusting, because generally we don't, we get it right the first time and then things change, so we need to go back and update it. So the end of November is a similar vibe. It's important to mention, too, that Mars's retrograde is different than when Mars stations retrograde. A planet that stations So a planet stations in order to turn retrograde or turn direct. And stationing means that it's stationary. It has stopped. And just like a car that needs to, go into neutral before it goes into reverse or drive, the planets have to do the same thing. And so when a planet stops or stations, is stationary, that energy is heightened and extreme-ified in a way. So there's extreme Mars energy around the beginning of December. And once Mars starts moving again, things get a little bit easier. But know that retrogrades are about a larger force being at play and putting you back into adjustment, essentially. Larger forces at play that change the trajectory of things. And you may or may not expect the changes that come. But again, this is in your 8th house. The 8th house rules resources that you share with people. And for you specifically, it's interesting because it's going from, the retrograde will be going from your 8th house to your 7th house. So this retrograde is certainly related to a partner or someone else that you are sharing something with. And there needs to be a readjustment or recalibration happening there. There may be some endings. Mars often rules endings, cutting things off. It's sharp, it's fiery. So oftentimes it's endings with some sort of shared resource with someone else that you interact with. And also, deep emotional processing is possible with the 8th house, which is related to security, which is the 8th house. Emotional baggage is possible, but it offers a chance for healing and closure. And Mars retrograde also brings delays. So delays with financial transactions is possible, with loans, inheritances, settlements, anything like that. There may be a holdup. So harness patience. Doesn't mean you're not going to get it, but it means that there may be more of a process than you'd like. And there is a renewed focus on mental health here. The 8th house rules your mental health in some situations. So therapy, mental health work can take on a new significance. Maybe you get a new therapist or something like that. So the do's and don'ts for December with this stationing time. I recommend you consult a financial advisor if that's relevant. This is a good time for that, to consult around matters like investments, inheritance, debts, wills, etc. I recommend you start or revisit therapy. It can be very, very beneficial. And plan for future financial security. Again, more focus on finances. So at the same time, don't rush any financial decisions in December. Don't ignore your mental health, obviously. And just know that this is about diving deep into your finances, your security, and it is a layer of transformation happening again. It's a time where you'll be asked to slow down, reassess, and just consider things a little bit slower. Allow things to be slow for December, especially the beginning of December. And then we are hit with the second time Jupiter squares Saturn. So the first time was in August while Mars was squaring Saturn. Jupiter was also squaring Saturn. And this time, December 24th, is the second act without Mars, which is very nice. So Jupiter in your 6th is squaring Saturn in your 3rd. And this will be the second round. It'll be a lot easier than the first time. Again, it'll be similar to August, but a little bit easier, although Mars is retrograde. So again, this will be a time where you have to balance your work life a bit more. There'll be maybe a workplace learning curve. Maybe you're training somebody at work or something like that. And you can expect having to shift and adjust your daily routine. And, maybe different work hours, new tasks, adjusting to new team dynamics, something like that. There is some sort of adjustment needing to happen. So my recommended do's and don'ts for the end of the year, I still recommend you enhance skills, attend professional development things, network, join a local club, group related things, meet other people, because networking will be useful at this point. I also recommend you start a blog or a podcast or write a book, whatever type of writing or communicating, speaking hobby or idea that you have, go for it. And I recommend you don't ignore any vehicle maintenance that you need in December. Your commute might change, so make sure your car is in tip-top shape and avoid starting any conflicts at work, of course. And don't neglect any family conversations that need to happen, because this is a transit that is good for that. So that's the end of the year, and that's what we have today, y'all. How do you feel about the upcoming year? Comment below. Let me know which transits you're looking forward to and which transits you are side-eyeing or concerned about. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help keep the community growing. And if you want to delve deeper into astrology with me, remember Pyx's Fellowship offers weekly and monthly horoscopes, and I'm available for one-on-one consultations, either readings or mentorship as well. And of course, you're welcome to join us in the Ninth House Discord server for free to keep the astro conversation flowing. Thank you so much, friends. I will see you next time.